Hello, it's Rachel, and I'm making another video. And today we're going to do some standing work. Just work on some standing poses. You might want to have a blanket or a towel available for some parts of the class. You might want to have a belt available. It doesn't have to be a traditional yoga belt. It could be, a t-shirt that you roll up and use around your foot, just if you like to use a belt. If you tend to have yoga blocks or use things beneath your hands as yoga blocks, you could definitely have those available as well. You do not have to have the best dog in the world available. Bye, Nellie. Oh, are you going to sit here? Okay. Join us if you'd like. Let's start actually in Tadasana. And come into any Tadasana position that's comfortable for you. I like to have my feet hip width apart. I find it's hard for my knees when my feet are together and my hips are apart and my knees have to be in an angle. So I line myself up with my feet hip width apart. Your body might react differently. In standing, I broaden across the balls of my feet, spreading my toes, feeling the bottom of my feet, feeling that I'm lifting through the arches of my feet. Feeling that I'm lifting through the inner and the front thighs. As I engage the legs strongly, I can let go a little bit through the shoulders, through the neck, through the jaw. They don't have to hold me up. The legs are doing their job. And then I'm going to deepen my breathing. And you might have noticed I've closed my eyes here. You are welcome to have eyes open or closed. Try not to be looking around though. Fix your gaze if your eyes are open. And noticing just what is your breath doing today. There's no right or wrong way to be breathing. Your breath has been keeping you going all day, so just notice, what is it doing? And gently opening up your eyes. Hello. Just a reminder, everything that I suggest is a suggestion. Everything I say to do is just a suggestion. Listen to your body. You're the expert on your body. So don't do anything that doesn't feel good to you. Okay? And I'm going to open my legs out wide here. And then I'm going to bend my knees into a pose that is called sometimes goddess pose, sometimes temple pose. Some people call it horse pose. I don't care what you call it. Your knees and your toes should be pointing in the same direction. So for some of us, that's more forward. For some of us, that's more outward. It doesn't really, it's not a reflection of your moral purity. It's more about the shape of your hips. And you'll see from the side here, when I come into this pose, if I have my shoulders right above my hips, I'm really arching my back. So for me, I'm a little bit hinged forward at my hips, really engaging, shed a layer here, engaging through those low ribs. Good, and I'm having my arms just rest lightly on the fronts of those thighs, and I know you've been holding for a while. Good, and let's straighten up through those legs. Turn the feet forward, engage through the front and inner thighs. And lengthening forward with the arms way out in front of you. Drawing back with the shoulders. Feel that length. Good, deep, full breath. Okay. Now we're going to walk both our hands towards the right leg. If you want to bend that right knee, please do so. If you want to have the hands on the block, please do so. Good. Keep breathing. And then we're gonna turn out the right foot, pivot our hips into a lunge facing towards the right. We're gonna draw the shoulders back away from the ears. Good. And then we're gonna drop that left heel towards the floor. And we're gonna lift up into warrior one. My hips are facing forward over that right knee. If my arms overhead is not a comfortable position for me, I have my hands at my heart or my arms in cactus. Choose any of those positions that you like. Take a few deep breaths here. Good. Lovely, dropping those shoulder blades down away from your ears. Nice work. Okay, and then we're gonna straighten that right leg any amount. Bring the hands down to the hips. Now, actively lift through that right front thigh and begin to hinge at your hips and come forward a little bit slowly over that right leg, drawing back with that right thigh. When you've come as far forward as feels comfortable, you could bring your arms down. You might want to bring your hands onto something. You could hold the leg. You could put your hands on blocks. Some people use big books here. Good. Keep breathing. Keep drawing back through the shoulder blades. And then we'll bend that right knee deeply. And we'll pivot back onto that left foot, bringing it into the lunge. And then we're going to walk our hands back out in front of us and turn our hips and our feet back to point out center and lengthen through that upper chest and draw back through those hips. And then we're going to walk both hands over towards that left foot. And you could have that left knee bent. And I'm moving from my pelvis. My right pelvic bone is moving around my right thigh so that I'm really moving from the base of my spine with the twist. Keep breathing. And then I'm going to turn that left foot out and I'm going to move into a lunge on the left. Remember, you could have your hands on height here. Draw the shoulders back. And then go ahead and drop that right heel. Coming into a warrior one position. And again, remember, pick your own position, however you like. Keep breathing. Noticing how that feels. Good. Now we're going to straighten that front leg and bring the hands to the hip. And I want you to notice how supportive you're being of that right leg, active with that, or left leg, excuse me, active with that front and inner thigh. And then go ahead and bend forward from the hip, going slowly. Noticing that you're moving from the hip. You're not collapsing down over this leg. You're experimenting with how much mobility do I have in this left hip here. And then when you've kind of reached your edge, put your hands down. And again, that might be putting it on some height, right? And just take a couple of deep, full breaths here. Whew. All right, and then we'll go ahead and we'll come back into the lunge, bending that front knee. And then we'll walk our hands back to center. Take a couple of deep, full breaths. Bring your hands to the front thighs, bend your knees, come on up. Turn your feet slightly out, coming back into goddess horse temple pose. And only coming down, remember, this is a really variable pose. You can move where you would like to in it, where it feels like you're getting some nice challenge. Now I've got my hands just lightly down on the insides of my legs, and I'm going to be moving here, and I'm going to be moving my spine, and you'll notice I'm keeping both sides of my torso really long, and I'm slightly moving my pelvis. I'm drawing my right thigh in and back slightly, and I'm sliding my right arm down along the inside of my right leg any amount. And I could keep my left hand on my hip if I wanted to stretch my left arm up towards the ceiling. There would be no problem with that. My hand wouldn't have to come down this far. It might be like this, right? Play with what feels good on your body right now. Come back to center. Okay, then the left arm comes down, and I'm kind of shifting my hips a little bit. I'm moving my left thigh back into the left hip socket. Good, I'm stretching over to the side with both sides of the body, both sides of the rib cage staying long. And I could keep that hand on something. If I didn't have a block, I could hold on to my ankle. Stretch up with that top arm if it's comfortable, but feel free to keep the hand on the hip. And I'm looking up towards the sky, but you don't have to do that. You could have your chin in line with your breastbone, or even look down at the floor, whatever feels best for your neck right now. Come on up and straighten your legs. How are those thighs feeling? Turn your feet to point forward. Draw the shoulders down. Take a breath or two. Notice yourself. Good, good job. This has been a strong practice. Go ahead and hinge forward at the hips. Bring the hands down to the floor. Bend your knees if wanted or needed. Take a couple of deep, full breaths here. Good. Bend in your knees, bring your hands to the front thighs, come on up. Turn that right foot out. And turn your left foot in if that feels comfortable. We're going to be doing Warrior Two into side angle posture. And your right heel is going to be lined up with the arch of your left leg. If it's comfortable to open your arms out to either side, you could do so. Feel free to take an alternate position. And bend your right knee to come directly above your right ankle if that feels okay. Good, trying to bring, eventually, that right thigh parallel to the floor someday. And start out by just really noticing the support you're getting from the core here. Good, from your breastbone, the breadth of the chest, the strength of the legs. Good. Now we're going to begin to move just halfway over into side angle posture. So you'll notice I'm sliding my pelvis over the top of that left thigh bone here, or right thigh bone here, excuse me. And then I could bring that right arm down to the thigh, to the floor, or to a block. I'm going to bring my left hand to my hip to start with. So choose where you'd like to be today. I like my hand on a block right now. See where you're comfortable at this moment. Drawing the shoulders back away from your ears. Keep breathing. Good. Nice work. Then we're going to lift back up. Straighten the leg. Good. Turning that right foot in and the left foot out. Go ahead and bend that left knee. Open the arms. And again, notice the support you're getting. You're using your strong legs here. You're supported with your core here. And so the jaw, the neck, the face, the place where we tend to do a lot of this, it doesn't have to work so hard. It can rest down. We've built a good foundation to support our upper body. Good, so let your arms open away from each other. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then again, now we're actually going to move the left pelvic bone over the left thigh. And we're going to come halfway out into the pose. And feel again the support of your core and your legs. So this is really a pose that you're holding from strength. Adding the arms is just the decoration. And you could have that left elbow on the left knee. You could have the left hand on the floor. Again, I'm choosing to practice today with the left hand on a block. Good. I'm keeping my right hand on my shoulder if you'd rather have it either overhead or towards the sky. Feel free to experiment with what feels good to you today. Good. Keep breathing. Nice work. Pressing into your feet. Come back up to warrior two. Straighten your legs. Good job. Turn your feet forward. Okay. We're going to do some a half moon pose from triangle coming up next. Now, half moon pose is a balancing position. And we might throw in a couple of warrior threes too. So be mindful of if balancing feels like a good idea for you or not. So I'll be giving some alternatives, but remember, you can always take the triangle pose as an alternative for the half moon position, and you can always take warrior one as an alternative for warrior three. So never do anything that feels unsafe, uncomfortable, unsettling, inconvenient. You know, what you're in the mood for. It is your practice. Okay, now having said that, let us begin. If you like to use for a block for your practice of either warrior three or half moon pose, have a block handy. Okay, first time we're not going to go up. Just giving you a heads up. Turning your right foot out to the right side and your left foot slightly in. Open your arms out to either side if that's comfortable. You can always have that back hand down on the hip if that feels more appropriate. Being mindful not to lock the back of that front knee. Shift over, roll that pelvis of that right pelvis over that right thigh. Come on down into triangle pose. Take a couple of breaths here. Open between the collarbones. Good. And now we're going to go ahead and bend that right knee and bring the right hand to the floor, coming onto the left big toe. But we're just going to hold here. We're just going to hold here for a breath or two and notice that position. And now just lift that left toe 1 inch up off the floor. Nothing else moves. Put that toe back down and come back down to triangle. Ooh, that was fun. Come back up. Turn your feet to center, release the arms. Let's try that on the second side. Turn your left foot out and your right foot in. Strong left leg. We're not sinking into the back of the knee. Shifting, rolling that left pelvic bone over the top of that left thigh. Shift yourself over into triangle pose. Good. Hold here for a couple of breaths, noticing your legs, strong legs supporting you, your shoulders drawing away from the ears, shoulder blades and collarbones broadening away from each other. If it's comfortable, bend that left knee. You can bring the left hand to the floor or a block. You could always have this right hand on the hip. Hold here, just rolling onto that right big toe. And then nothing else moves. Just lift that right toe off the floor like an inch. Not very much. Bring it on down. Roll yourself back to triangle pose. Oh my goodness. Come on up. Turn your feet back to center. Step your feet together. Good job. I have to hydrate. need right now. Okay, do you need another round? I hope so. Because we're gonna go again. Turning your right foot out and your left foot in. Again, if it's comfortable, open your arms out wide. If that doesn't feel good, use your hands on your hips. And I'm rolling my right pelvic bone over the top of my right thigh. I'm lengthening through both sides of my rib cage. I'm broadening collarbones and shoulder blades. Once again, I'm gonna bend that right knee. Once again, I'm gonna bring that right hand forward, coming onto that left toe. This time, as I lift that left leg up, I'm gonna straighten that right leg. Good, and I'm trying to stay long in my breastbone forward, drawing the low ribs into my body. Ooh, I want to flex that back foot. I just realized I wasn't, but I want to. Good, and then I'm going to slowly bend that front knee. I might bring that hand back. Gently touch that left toe to the floor. Roll back into triangle. Nice slow descent. Come on up. Take your time coming in and out of the pose. That's where we can hurt ourselves. The pose itself tends to be pretty stable, but when we're moving, if we're not in a kind of a good alignment the whole time, that's when we're vulnerable. So take your time. Ready for the second side? Let's turn our left foot out and our right foot in. If it's comfortable, open your arms up. Remember, you do you. Sorry, that sounded obnoxious. We're gonna roll our left pelvic bone over the top of the left thigh. Opening collarbones and shoulder blades. Taking a couple of deep breaths and remembering you don't have to do any crazy balance stuff you don't want to. Maybe today is a triangle day. Stay here if you would like. If you want to come into Ardha Chandrasana, we'll bend that left knee, bring the left hand forward. I came onto my right toe. Again, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to simultaneously push with my left foot to the floor and lift with my right inner thigh to come up into the balance. Again, your arm does not have to be up. Your hand can be on your hip. Lengthening the breastbone away from that right heel. So you're staying long through the torso, long through the back leg, active through the standing leg, still breathing. And then to come out of it, I'm gonna bend that left knee slowly. Maybe walk that left hand back. I'm gonna put that right foot down on the floor. Slowly push it to the floor with the foot, lengthen with my inner and front thigh into triangle. And then push into the floor to come on up. Excellent work. Step your feet together. Come into Tadasana. Noticing your breath. You were just moving a lot. How does it feel to be still for a few moments? Inhaling, exhaling. Okay. We're going to shift gears into a little bit more of a Warrior 3 direction next. If you don't practice Warrior 3, I'm going to have some alternatives with Warrior 1 and Pyramid Pose. So, remember, you hydrate too. For some reason, these videos make me thirstier than my normal classes. Maybe I yadder more. Anyway, if you're using blocks, you might want to have them handy towards the front of your mat. We're going to start standing with the front of your mat, dropping your shoulders down, feeling those strong legs supporting you. And then we're going to stay strong on that right leg, and we're going to bring that left leg back into Warrior 1 position. Good, now drawing your shoulder blades down away from your ears. We're gonna hinge forward from the hips and just come halfway forward, draw back with that outer right thigh towards the wall behind you. Lengthen forward with both sides of the low abdomen. Good. And then if it feels obtainable to you, I like to bring my hands down to blocks here. Some people can bring their hands down to the floor. If it's hard to bring your hands down to the floor and you don't have blocks, you could put your hands on like a big dictionary maybe. Good. And then wherever you are, see if it feels like a good idea to turn your left thigh into parallel. And again, if possible, possibly using blocks here, I'm pushing down with my right foot to lengthen my right leg. And at the same time, my left leg is getting lifted up parallel to the floor. Good. Taking a couple of breaths here. I like to come onto my knuckles. If my hands were on the floor, I would also come onto my knuckles, lengthening the spine, or maybe even the fingertips. Lengthening the spine, so I'm not really dipping down in my upper body. I want my torso to be somewhat parallel to my thigh. Good. And if it feels like a fun experiment, you could try bringing your hands up to your hips. And then bringing the hands back down. Bend that front knee. Put the foot back on the floor. Some people have been holding this for quite a while because if you didn't want to lift up your foot, this is a great variation. Good. And then we're going to go ahead and come back to our warrior one. And we're going to step that back leg forward. And maybe we'll feel a little bit something going on in that outer thigh. Okay, we'll do the second side here. Grounding through the left leg. Go ahead and bring that right leg back. Bend the left knee, coming into your warrior one. Arms can be in any position that feels good to you. Take a breath. Bring your hands to your hips and hinging at the hips, begin to bend down part way over that left leg. You're going to continue drawing the outer left thigh back towards the back heel, lengthening forward through the crown of your head. Good. Keep lengthening back with the hips, but lengthening forward with the breastbone and the low belly. And then bringing your hands down to something, if possible. The floor, maybe some rolled blankets on the floor, maybe the blocks. Remember, you don't have to lift your leg up off the floor. In fact, please don't if it feels unsafe or uncomfortable or inappropriate in any way. If you would like to, turn that right foot in, lifting that right heel up off the floor. Draw the shoulders down. And as you push the left foot up into the floor, lift the right leg up. Again, you can be holding the lunge position. You're getting a great stretch. Those of us who are in the Warrior 3 adaptation, stretch back with that inner right heel. Lengthen forward with the crown of the head. Open collarbones and breastbones. If you would like to play with it, oh, let's see how the balance is on this side. This is my tough side. Ooh, there it goes. Have some fun. Put the hands down. Slowly bend the knee. Put that foot back down. Good job. Turn out to warrior one. And then let's come on up. Straighten the leg. Step that foot forward. Good, and just hold the Tadasana. Okay, we're just going to do one or two more standing poses. Keep breathing into Tadasana. Okay, the next standing pose we're going to work on is going to be coming into dancer pose. So we're going to do dancer pose standing on our right foot. You might want to stand close to a wall. Have one hand on a wall. So definitely take care of your body here. Now I'm going to stand on my right foot. And I'm going to line my right hip up over my right heel. I'm going to feel myself long through the right side of my body, and then I'm going to bend my left knee. Now, right here, if this hurts my knee, I'm not going to do dancer pose. I'm going to turn my left leg out and come into tree pose of some variation. If I'm continuing into dancer pose, I could eventually bend that left knee and catch the foot with my hand. If that feels inaccessible, remember you can always have a belt between your foot and your hand. Now I'm going to keep my hand on my hip here, because what I don't like about dancer pose sometimes is when we stretch forward with the arm and back with the foot, we kind of go into a deep twist. And I want us to focus more on keeping a sense of a parallel state between our hips and our collarbones here. So I'm hinging slightly forward at my hips. I'm keeping my pelvic bones somewhat parallel, my shoulders somewhat parallel. I'm pushing back slightly with my left foot into the left arm, and I'm working very hard to draw my low ribs down towards my hips and lift the breastbone up towards the sky. Good, and then I'm going to gently release. Okay. If that does not feel good for your knee, tree pose. You could do tree pose with your foot on the floor, inner calf, or inner thigh. Don't hurt your body, please. Okay, we'll do this on the second side now. So I'm going to ground down through my left leg, broadening across the ball of the foot, feeling the engagement through the whole left side of my body. And then I'm going to bend my right knee. Good, and I'm going to see if that feels okay for my knee. If I'd like to, I could catch the foot with the hand. I'm bringing my left hand to the hip because I don't want to splay here, and I don't want to encourage the splay by bringing my left arm forward. I'm moving my pelvis around the top of that left thigh to hinge forward here slightly. Good, and then I'm pushing back with my right foot into my right hand, dropping back with my shoulder blades, lifting the breastbone up. Taking a few deep breaths here. Good, feeling the engagement of the low ribs. Lovely. Coming back to center in whatever pose you were in, put your foot down. And come back to Tadasana. I just see the birds were playing after the rain in my garden. So if you noticed me kind of gaping out the window during that last pose, that was really cute. Take a couple of breaths here. Beautiful work. Okay, we're going to come on down to the floor. So coming down to all fours, take a couple of breaths here. If you want a pad beneath your knees, you definitely can. Broaden between the shoulder blades. Good, notice how that feels. Spread across the palms of the hands. Notice how that feels. And then let's come into plank. Remember, if this bothers your wrists, you could do this on knuckles or on your forearms. Broadening between the shoulder blades. Doesn't matter, forearms, hands, knuckles. If this is hard, bring your knees to the floor. It doesn't have to hurt. Good, keep breathing. Notice how you feel. Good, can you keep your jaw soft? Good, where are you working that you don't have to work? Good, and then bring your knees down to the floor. And slowly come on down to your belly. Bring your head down. Good. Nice work. Stretching back with both of your legs. Bring your hands beneath the shoulders. We're going to bring ourselves into a very low cobra here. I'm feeling my pelvis move back towards my heels. I'm not going to bring any weight into my hands. I'm going to be lengthening with my breastbone forward, my pubic bone back, shoulders down away from ears, collarbones and shoulder blades both broad. And I'm just lifting up into a very, very low cobra. Good. And then I'm going to come on down. And take a breath. Okay, from here we're going to move into Sphinx. We're going to bring our forearms to the floor, elbows beneath the shoulders, broaden in between those collarbones, drawing the shoulder blades back away from the ears. Good. As you stretch back with the pubic bone and the tailbone, get long in the lower back. If you want a deeper stretch, you can lift the elbows up. Practice lifting with the inner strength of the inner arms here. So when I did that, I felt extra exertion in my belly and in my arms, but not extra pressure on my wrists. So just be mindful of how you use your wrists here. Good, and come on down. Lovely work. Bring your hands beneath your shoulders. And you can try and push back up to plank, or you could push back up to all fours. And take a breath here. And just hold plank, and again, you could do forearm plank. You can have your knees on the floor. You could be on your knuckles. And just hold for a couple of breaths, relaxing the shoulder. Good. Nice work. Bringing your knees down to the floor. Shift yourself back into child's pose. Good. Okay, coming up to all fours. You're going to have the opportunity to take a pigeon pose now. I know that pigeon pose isn't everybody's favorite pose, so if it doesn't work for your knees, I'll be showing you an alternative. Just let me get everybody into the pigeon pose first. So there's a lot of different ways to get into pigeon pose. My favorite way is to come into a dog pose. So if you do not like that, just come into pigeon pose your way. I lift up my right leg. I work hard on keeping my hips parallel. And then I do some work with my right foot. Just I point and flex or do ankle circles or just kind of notice what's going on there. Because pigeon pose does do a lot with, can put pressure on the knees. So I like to just check out how my hip and my ankle joint are before I get into that pose. Then bringing my foot back to a neutral position, I'm going to bring my right leg forward into pigeon pose, left leg back. I'm keeping my hips as parallel as possible. If this right hip was a long way off the floor, I'd be padding with a blanket or a towel. And then we're going to stretch forward over that right leg. Oh. And just take a few deep breaths here. Alternative for people whose knees do not like pigeon. Come onto your back. Feet on the floor, knees bent. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Option 1, stay here. Keep the right foot flexed. Option 2, lift the left foot off the floor. Reach the right arm between the two thighs and clasp the back of the left thigh. Keeping your shoulders on the floor, your jaw soft. Good. And you can hold here the whole time we're in pigeon pose. We're going to go through a few variations in pigeon, but you can hold the threading the needle pose. Good. Those of you in pigeon, just a couple more breaths in the forward bend. Okay. Now we're going to start to come up. And upright is going to look a little different for everybody. Because if your low back is feeling tender, you might want to have your low back in a more neutral position. You might want to be leaning a little more forward rather than coming quite so upright. If your low back is okay with it and you would like to come into the full upright position, make sure that you're keeping the shoulders broad and release down away from the ears. And you're lifting right out of that belly. Good. And now check in with your back leg, because not everybody's knee is going to like this. So you might want to stay right here. And you can be doing this same position from a forward bend. But we're going to see if you'd like to bend that back knee. That felt interesting. Now we could see what it would be like to reach back with the left hand. Now there are a couple of different things that could happen here. You could push the left foot into the left hand and get that opening there, or you could draw the left heel in towards the left buttock. You could see what feels better on your body today. Today for me on this side, it feels better to push the foot back into the hand. That might not be your choice. Good. Okay, release that left leg. Pigeon posed, feet will come back to dog pose if that's your option for transition. If it's not, begin to transition into pigeon on the left your own way. People doing threading the needle, transition into threading the needle on the second side. People in dog pose, lift up the left foot and check in with that left ankle. Good, doing some circles, moving your toes, then bring that foot back to neutral, and bring that leg into pigeon. Now remember, just because you didn't use props on one side doesn't mean you won't need them on the second side. So play with it, see what you need, check in with how you're feeling today, not what your practice was like yesterday or last week. Good, take a couple more breaths, coming forward over that leg. People in threading the needle, keep the backs of the shoulders, the back of the head on the floor. If that's hard, put a folded blanket beneath your head. Okay, threading the needle, people, you can stay where you are. Pigeon people, come on up. And again, up, maybe forward. Drop down through the shoulders, lift up out of the low belly if you're coming upright. Check in with that back knee. Only if it's okay should you bend it. Only if it's okay should you put the hand on the foot. And then you can see, interesting. On this side, this feels better for me today. And the other one felt better on the other side. Oh, very interesting. Keep breathing. Release that back leg if you were holding on to it. Those of us coming back into dog pose, come back into dog pose. Those of us in threading the needle, uncross your legs, put your feet back on the floor. And let us all come together, lying with our backs on the floor. Yes, our backs on the floor, our feet on the floor. Good, and check in with yourself for a few moments. Are your pelvic bones even on the floor? Are your shoulder blades even on the floor? Good. With your feet parallel, thighs parallel, arms down, relax your jaw and your shoulders. And we're going to begin to inhale and roll up into a bridge pose. And exhale and roll down. And being very aware of not splaying the legs in and out as we go. Keeping the legs nice and parallel, even if that means not coming up as high. So that we're coming up in a healthy way for our joints. And really connecting the movement to the breath. Good, and then if it feels okay for your body, lifting the hips up and holding bridge pose. If that does not feel comfortable for your body, come to the floor and stretch your right leg up towards the ceiling, holding the back of the right thigh. If you're doing the bridge pose, draw the shoulder blades away from each other. Feel them wrapping around the sides of your chest. Good. Draw them down away from your ears. Good. Beautiful. Feel your knees stretching away from you in the same direction as your toes. Keep breathing. Nice work. And roll on down. Okay. We're going to go for a second round if that's okay for your body. If not, join our friends on the floor. People on the floor, we're about to switch to the left side. Okay, those of us doing bridge pose begin to come up. People on the floor, switch legs. People doing bridge pose, stretch those knees and the toes towards the opposite wall. Feel that you're really lengthening and worried much more about the lengthening of the spine than how high up you're getting off the floor. Notice if you're able to breathe, if your neck feels okay, how your shoulders feel. Good. You can feel a lot of talking in your hip, buttock, thighs. Those areas are fine to hear from. And then come on down. And take a breath. Whew. Nice work. And let's all hug the right knee in towards the chest and stretch that left leg out long. And do a few ankle circles with that right leg. And other direction. Good. And switch, bringing the left knee in towards the stretching the right leg out long. Doing some nice ankle circles with the left foot. First in one direction, then in the other. Good. And then stretching that leg out. Lengthening out with your arms overhead if that's comfortable. If that's not comfortable, don't do it. And release. Bringing your knees towards your chest. Roll to one side. Come into any comfortable seated position. And beginning to do just a gentle seated twist in any seated position. Moving to your right. I like to move my neck around. I'm trying very hard to move my torso somewhat as a unit, so I'm not just pulling with my shoulders. I'm moving from the very base of my spine. And I'm going to come back to center. If I'm cross-legged, I'm going to switch the crossing of my legs. I'm going to come into just a really basic twist on my second side. And unwinding. Let's join our feet either in Baddha Konasana or stretch your legs out in a straddle. And you could definitely be sitting on some height here. If this is not comfortable for you, come onto your back, lying with your feet on the floor and your knees bent. So any comfortable position with a long spine. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. So go ahead and soften your shoulders. Whatever position you're in, inhale, broaden the chest. Exhale, feel yourself softening the shoulders. And as you're breathing here, eyes could be open, but just try not to be looking around. Focus your gaze on something. I'm trying to notice here if I can breathe in the back of my chest. A lot of times I think so much about my front body and forget we're three-dimensional. So I notice, can I feel my back lobe smile on with air? That always makes me feel much calmer. Okay, I'm going to join my hands at my heart and say namaste to you. Thank you for practicing with me. And encourage you to turn off the video and give yourself a lovely 5 to 10 minutes of Shavasana, final relaxation, lying in any comfortable position. So thank you very much for practicing. Namaste.